This is a still of the start of a project. We recently discovered our third floor was collapsing. We did an attic conversion 30 years ago, and turned out the contractor did not properly support the main beam, and he did not properly support the joists, so that after 30 years the floor was sagging and the ceiling below it was sagging, and it was not a pretty picture. The video that I did previously will be up next, and then we will go into the repair that's going on and what was needed to do this job. Back in 1988, when we were quite a bit younger, we did an attic conversion, turning it into bedroom space. Unfortunately, despite our best intentions, we had a contractor who wasn't all he was cracked up to be. We had informed him we were going to be putting a waterbed in the bedroom, and we wanted the floor double joisted to support the waterbed. Well, if you look in the picture, you can see we suddenly had a sinking feeling. It took quite a while. Obviously, this is now 30 years later, and I guess it's happened gradually, but it became very noticeable lately. We have a drop in the floor here that is quite noticeable, and certainly when you're walking over it, you can feel the decline. Probably about a 10% grade we have here, and we'll show you the reason why in a second. As I said, we had asked him to double joist the floorboards. Little did we know that he wouldn't do it properly. Now we have the center beam there. That was original to the house, but for whatever reason, he put in these 2x6s. Although he extended them out all the way out to the support walls, he did not tie them into the center beam, so that they were there, but you can see they're barely nailed into position. They've been pulling out and cupping. Although the boards were put in place and they went to all that trouble, they didn't adequately support them. They used a couple nails to hold them in, as it turned out, and they were not bolted in, and obviously they did not use any hangers, did not extend them into the beams to carry the support forward. So that now we're looking at a nice sag in the middle of the floor that shows up on the ceiling below. So that the way it's looking, this is all going to have to be pulled out. The ceiling below has to come down, and we have a royal mess on our hands because of a contractor that didn't do what he was supposed to do. And apparently it did not need town inspection at the time, and they must have just done the inspection after the floorboards were done, so that he got away with it, and now we're stuck with the bill since he's long gone. So if you do something like this and you're young and naive like we were, even though you think you're doing the right thing, you may want to take a closer look at things, maybe get a second opinion or inspection to make sure everything's going properly, because this turned into a disaster that's going to be very expensive to repair. So I hope you have better luck than we did. Just wanted you to see how you can have a royal screw up even with someone you thought was a decent contractor. Okay. So today the repair started on the third floor. Okay, they opened up the floor and exposed the beams. Downstairs, you'll see in a minute, they supported the ceiling. Well, here we go. They've supported the ceiling, and they jacked it back up so that it's pretty much where it was supposed to be. And tomorrow, they will cut out the main beam
and put in an LVL laminated beam, you know, that should give us the strength we need. The joist will then be rehung with proper hangers, and it looks like a nice, neat surgical job the way it's going so far. Here we're entering day 2. The main beam has been separated and they're getting set to take it out. It's loose, it's moving, and shortly will be removed. And here they're removing the main beams, and they will end up in my son's place so he can do some projects, but they are just about out, and for the time being they'll be used as a walkthrough. And if you look carefully at the boards, you can see the curvature, the deformation that occurred in them that brought about this whole problem. Now here's the 8-inch LVL that's going to be going in. It's going to be doubled up for the main beam with a steel fitch plate, and at the headers there's going to be a doubled up 8-inch LVL in the at the inboard side of the room, and by the window we're going to have this 18-inch LVL that's going to tie it in to the beams in the house. And here the area under the window has been prepared for the 18-inch LVL. The studs have been exposed, and the 18-inch LVL will be mounted against those studs. And here the 18-inch LVL is in place. It's bolted into all the studs, tying them all together at the front of the room. And on the other side, on the inboard side of the room, we have the twin 8-inch LVLs that are resting on the support wall below it. One of the 8-inch LVLs is in place. The joists have been leveled and tied into it, and you can see the steel fitch plate in place.
So the main support is now in place and done, and we have the header over here with the two 8-inch LVLs in place. The main beam, we have the two 8-inch LVLs with the steel fitch plate between them. And then on the far wall we have the 18-inch LVL to pull the studs all together and get support, added support from that. Okay. While we were at it, we used it as an opportunity to clean out our dryer vent, which was packed full of lint. So it's a good thing we could get into there. Turns out it was a long run. And also used it as a way to get a rear speaker cable run down to the living room below and have some fun with that. So there we have the boards in place, and now it's just a question of patching things up. Going to take a shot from below to show you how neat the living room came out, and not going to bother going with all the patch ups. That should be pretty routine from here. So down here, and you may have seen it, noticed it upstairs. The ceiling's been jacked up to where it was supposed to be. The
floor is now level upstairs. The ceiling no longer has a sag, and everything's back where it was. So in the end, we have minor damage to the ceiling down here. A little bit of a crack opened up, and just a small track down the center of the room that'll be patched up. We had one contractor that wanted to take out the complete floor and ceiling, and what a mess that would have been, not to mention the expense. This turned out to be a very neat job. Very happy with the way it worked out. You know, this was done, by the way, with an engineer who structurally checked everything out. We didn't want the same issues we had previously. So there you go, and hope it helps someone somewhere.